Old Dominion were extremely talented, very well organised, very aggressive. They play at a very good tempo as well, and we knew going into it was going to be probably our toughest game in the conference schedule. So I think the group really got together and understood that their role and responsibilities was not going to be what it was going to be like in the last couple of games. We knew we weren't going to have as many chances as we have been having. We knew that we'd have to absorb some pressure at times. We certainly had to do that, certainly for the last 15 minutes of the first half, and some spells in the second half after we scored the second goal. But I think the group done a really good job of being resilient. The moment that ODU got their equaliser, it's very easy in that moment to think that the game's gone and they're going to have the momentum. They done it the week before to Georgia Southern. They went down 1-0 and come back and won 2-1. So it was really important that the athletes found a way to stay level-headed, to stay non-emotional in the moment and make sure they could execute their job. And they all done that. Everyone on the field, top to bottom. We had some different people play some different roles on Friday's game, and I certainly think that we've done a really good job of disrupting the rhythm and making sure that they didn't create as many chances as they could have. They caught us a couple times, but Natalie Mays come up with some really big saves, and then on the other end when we had transitional moments, Carson Glenn done a really good job of taking her finish in the second half. So overall, I was really pleased with the group. 3 valuable points indeed. I think going into it, the stretch of games that we've just had with Texas State, James Madison and Old Dominion, I think as a staff, our conversation was if we can walk away with 3 points out of those 3 games, that's pretty good, and we've walked away with 4. So I think that puts us right where we want to be. Got into 2 games left. Obviously, none of that is easy. We've got Troy on the road. Playing away at their place is very, very tough. They held James Madison earlier in the year to a 0-0 tie at their place. So very, very good home performances from Troy. And then to finish off the year with ULM at home, who are also undefeated in conference, is going to be tough as well. So still a lot to be done. We need to take it one game at a time. We'll be putting all our focus onto Friday's game against Troy on the road and making sure that we have an opportunity to pick up some valuable points on the road to help us edge closer to postseason.
Last week you had talked about how important that James Madison match was and that Texas State match as far as like understanding what you guys are capable of. Talk about being able to kind of see that, you know, what you guys learned from those previous matches and kind of seeing it kind of come in fruition to come up with this result against ODU.
Yeah, we tied Texas State on the road, and after that game, there was a sense of accomplishment from the group, which was certainly proud of, right? You go to Texas State, who haven't lost a game since October 2022 at home or something like that, right? And you pick up a point, that's certainly good to do. And after that game, I think the group that week was like, well, maybe we can play a little better in some of these games and pick up some more points. Then we went into James Madison, and when we lost that game, the team acted like it was a loss. They acted as if, you know, it wasn't a moral victory anymore of putting in a good performance. The post game was silent. The body language was defeated, and I think that's what helped on Friday is the fact that we left that game against James Madison, and they're thinking, no, we should have got something out of that game. We need to perform a little bit better to hold on to the performance to get the results that we need to. And I think that helped on Friday when we had that to lean back on against Texas State and JMU, and you're playing the best team in the conference. When you go up 2-1, I think you got to dig in your heels a little bit. And I think because of the performances in the last game and not getting 3 points in those games, I think the group learned their lesson from that. And I think that's what dug in and got us the win on Friday.
We kind of talked about it all year long, how you've had plenty of opportunities. You outshot a lot of the opponents that you play, and it just seemed like, you know, time and time again, teams got either the goal to either go ahead or to tie it this time. And you had, against JMU, Texas State, you know, you had chances. You seemed like you were right there. Your team finally puts away. What's kind of been the body language after that game? What was the emotions like in the locker room knowing that, you know, they put one away and they sealed the deal this time?
I mean, they were really happy with it, and so they should be as well. You know, I think that we put together a great game plan. The athletes executed it. The first goal pretty much came off of the game plan of what we wanted to do. And we certainly had less shots, but I think that some of our most dangerous weapons on the field come because of offensive transition. And playing a better team, I think we create better opportunities. You know, that's where some of our best goals and games have came from. Texas State, ODU, and it's finding a way to solve the other problems that teams give us when they defend really well and compact and tight and don't give us as much space. So The attitudes after the game were they were really happy. They know the job's not done. We won a game, but it doesn't mean we've qualified for the postseason. It doesn't mean we've got a good season. There's still tons to play for. There's still things that can happen that make us not go. So we want to make sure that we keep our feet grounded. We take it day by day, and we make sure we turn up and focus on the game plan for Friday against Troy.
Carson Glenn, again, making the score sheet. I believe it's her fourth straight scoring. Just talk about her play in these recent matches and kind of what she's been able to bring.
Yeah, she's electric. She causes all sorts of problems. I think Ben was asking me during the year, what problems is she causing for the opposition? I had said, what isn't she causing, right? You give her the ball at her feet, she's going to cause problems. You drop off of her, she's going to run at you. You step tight to her, she's going to run in behind. The kid is very diverse. She's been working on a couple of things that some teams have tried to do to her with regards to where they think they can put her in order to stop her being active. But she's been able to solve that in practice. She's been putting in some extra time by herself. And it's a commitment to the young lady's work rate and her determination to her craft and how she gets better. And she's got better as the year goes on. Usually see it players scoring at the beginning of the year and dying off by the end of the year. She's been the opposite. She's grown as the year's gone on, and I'm excited for the last couple of games for that young lady.
What was kind of the mentality? Kind of take us through, you go up 1-0, ODU comes back, they tie it. What was kind of the mentality moving forward after that? What did you see from your team whenever it went tied 1-1? Really,
for the staff, it was us just kind of sitting down and it was one of those moments where you're going to see if the athletes have learned or they haven't, right? We went up 1-0 against Texas State and it finished in a tie. We went up 1-0 against James Madison and we lost the game. So at that moment, there's nothing else for us to say. We can't mention anymore. We can't lay it out for them anymore. It's time for the athletes to understand what's on the table. They understood it. They knew what job was at hand and they rolled with it. And it's a testament to those athletes and what they learned and how they were to impact it. Again, for us, it was nothing. It was all on the athletes and they done a great job with it.
How important is, or can you speak to Natalie Mays in goal down the stretch, being able, I think there was a shot in the 78th minute, she was able to get a save on, and talk about her performance in that game, helping you guys get to that result.
And that's what you need out your goalkeeper, right? There's going to be games where they're tested a lot. There's going to be games where they're not tested and they're called upon. And our group defended so well that, again, a lot of the things that Natalie done well, commanding her box, coming out for balls that were slipped into the box, she done that really, really well. She nearly got onto the first goal as well and stopped that going in. But yeah, she was called upon with about 10 minutes to go. And in those moments, you need your keeper to step up and make a big save. And it was a massive save.
You said last week with how similar the play styles were between you and ODU, you felt like you had the opportunity to maybe flip the coin and kind of take advantage of some opportunities. Do you feel like that was well executed going into this game?
Yeah, I think it was really well done. 2 years ago again, was a transition goal for us. We beat them 1-0 at their place. And they move the ball so well. They're so athletic. They're very diverse in how they attack. And we have to be on our toes for the full 90 minutes. And I think we've done that. We managed to flip it on them, sit back, hit them on transition moments, make them create something from difficult opportunities. And I think we were able to capitalize on that for sure.
Yes, coach. I guess going into this next match, you guys had this huge win over ODU. How do you guys kind of keep that momentum and not feel a bit of a letdown, going into this next contest?
2 years ago again, we went to Troy with the opportunity to win the game and go to the conference tournament. Troy in the same time were eliminated. They weren't able to qualify for the tournament and they beat us 1-0. When you go to play a team that has absolutely nothing to lose, that can be very dangerous. So there's a little bit of lesson there for us to learn. Obviously, a lot of the players are still here from that time in 23, so they'll have the history of being there. But more importantly for us, it's about us being able to have a little bit of redemption from our performances early in the year. There's been several games where we've had opportunities and we've not walked away with a win. I think we should have got some earlier on in the conference schedule as well as the non-conference schedule. So we have to make sure that we make some changes to how we're executing in the final play of the game. But ultimately, we need to sit down and look at it. But I think all things considered, if we got a point in this game, I think that qualifies us for the tournament. So there's not as much going into the game that we have to execute and win 3 points. So there's a chance that we could potentially have a similar game plan to what we did at ODU, let the opposition have a little bit more of the ball, see if we can transition and counter them in attack with our forwards in space. And if we can attack anyone in space, I think we're going to capitalize on some big moments.